Oh my god. Hello. It's me. Good evening, good Sunday. I'm feeling a little wiggy. Okay, let's just get into this shit. I can't. First and foremost, we got a big ass week with a ton of ER. This ER is a lot of tech, and it's the vast majority of tech. I'm about to start laughing again. Okay, I'm calm. Everything's cool. Everything's cool. All right, so we got SMCI, which we know we've talked about 1.5 million times on this channel. This stock went fucking nuclear a couple weeks ago. Why did it go nuclear? Because they pre-released their earnings. So we already know that their earnings are going to be good, right? We already got the earnings move that would have initially happened had that news actually dropped when they ended up dropping their earnings. However, we are in a very weird situation here. We've seen a multitude of companies do this before, and those companies either the next day or that day end up plummeting, right? Or the move will happen and then people will continue to buy calls because they continue to remain bullish because the numbers are going to actually be good, but the stock ends up selling off and it's a sell the news event instead. So watch out for that with SMCI. The contracts are already ridiculous. I would not doubt that these contracts this week will be even more ridiculous. I would stay away from it up until after Monday. That way, you know, the IV maybe has died down a little bit and the contracts are a little bit more affordable. We might even get a better move. We have FOMC this week. So there's just a lot of different shit going on. But we also have Microsoft, AMD, Google. We got Amazon, Meta, Apple. I mean, we have massive, massive names in tech. A lot of QQQ and what holds and like what you think of as like the magnificent, however many 10 companies, you think of all of these big ass companies, right? Who are supplying the microchips to all of our cars, who are providing the software for me to be able to record this, all of these different things in between. I think you understand the idea. So we're actually going to be looking at a lot of names that are on this list. So just, yeah, keep in mind that this week is fucking hot. I mean, we have a lot of data coming out this week. We have FOMC and we have a shit ton of earnings. So really watch your ass, you know, don't really gamble too much. I would suggest against it as usual. I always lose on ER. There have been times where I've won, but I've definitely lost more than I've gained. So just a word to the wise. Yeah, let's just hop right into this shit. Again, a lot of what we're going to be looking at is on this specific list. ABBV is going to be the first one up on this list as we have made some really, really, really big progress from being down here at this 135 level just back in November, right? We had a ton of consolidation and this break ended up sending us. So since that break, we haven't really looked back, right? I mean, we ended up having these lows down here as well. This was back in June actually of last year, May and June. So yeah, I mean, when we see big periods of consolidation on this name, we tend to get a rather violent move, whether it be to the upside after, again, a period of range, or whether it be to the downside after a period of range trading. So you can also see the significance of these ranges once we break back into them, right? As we did here. When we broke down from this same area in which we have this range. And instead of breaking down, we actually held it. So as you can see, this stock has it plays off of a lot of recent data in terms of its support and resistance levels, which levels are confidence levels, etc., all that kind of stuff. So if we actually go to let's get out of this. If we go to the 4-hour, I know that looks super messy right now, but bear with me. So if we go to the 4-hour, you could see that this specific level, this 168 level, has been the biggest fucking pain in the ass for us, right? I mean, we broke down from it, rejected it 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. We rejected this level a lot. With earnings coming up, if we do end up getting a good earnings, we should see all-time highs. I don't see why we wouldn't, and tell you the truth. This has obviously been moving. This has obviously been moving with the majority of the market, right? And how much the market's been ripping, this has also been finding its footing within these certain areas. So what am I looking for? Realistically, I would love a break above this 165.19 level in order for us to get this retest of this 168 area. Before that retest, however, we probably will touch 166.26. Like, I will put an alert here. I think that this is going to be a very important level. I would call this a confidence level, right? We had a gap down from this level and we rejected it right here. So this level to the T, this 166.26 on ABBV, mark my words, will be either the make or the break point for this to go to those all-time high levels, right? So I would love to see it close over this, especially on the 4 hour. I think I would swing long then, just to get a retest of that 168. But again, if this 168 breaks, then I do think that we end up seeing all-time highs again. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for the upside. For the downside, I'd like a break under this 163 area. A break under this area would give us that 160. That's kind of what I'm looking for, would be a good pullback into this 160 area, and then possibly even down to this 159.37 level, or just like 159 level in general. That's also what I'd be looking for to the downside. So again, they have earnings this week. All of these levels I think will hit, if either to the upside or to the downside. I don't think that we won't get a new all-time high if they do have good earnings and if the stock decides that it wants to go. So yeah, it's kind of all that I'm looking for on ABBV. So here's a name that we've mentioned before on this channel. It is Align. ALGN is the ticker. We're looking at the daily chart right here. Now, we were looking at it, I believe, when we were trading around 230. I believe that's when we were looking at it. Even if we weren't, regardless, it's made an insane move to the upside, and it still has that potential, right? That's at least what I'm seeing. Honestly, I could not tell you much about this company. I could not tell you their revenue. I could not tell you anything, right? I mean, per their last earnings, you know, they had ended up losing $34.279 million. So it's a 3% difference in their what was that, total revenue? Yeah, in their total revenue. So I really, again, don't understand this company, know what they do. Nonetheless, the chart does look good for a move to the upside, as we are coming to this very, very important level, this 282 level. And as we come into this level, I think a break of this should send us a little bit higher, possibly into the 290 area. And then I would really like to see the 300 area. I don't see why we wouldn't get it if the earnings are good and if people decide that they want to continue to buy, right? So that's really what I see to the upside. I would love to see a retest of that 300 level. I definitely think it's possible. If not there, then that 290 level. Now to the downside, I would look to go short under this 257.07 level, as this level has held us up for a good amount of time, right? I mean, over here we see big breaks from it. To the upside, we see big breaks from the downside, etc. It may not be that exact level, but it definitely is a very important level for us, right? And below that, my first target would be this 252 level. I mean, this makes the most sense to me. Trading within this specific range is 241.17 to this, what is this 257.07 level. I mean, trading within this range, you're typically going to get, you know, little $3 to $5 moves. That's typically what's going to happen. Anything can happen, right? But I'm saying over a consistent period of time, that's usually what happens, either on a weekly or daily basis. So that's what I'd be looking for to the downside, would just be a break of this 252 area to send us to this, again, possibly this 241 area. Like, I really don't see, 247 first, I guess, would be there. And yeah, and then I would see that 241. That's genuinely what I see. So that's all that I'm looking for on Align. This move, I don't think will happen with earnings, but it may. So if it does, keep a lookout. This is where we were last earnings, was around this exact area, right before earnings dropped. So just keep a lookout for maybe even some new lows. Who knows? So yeah, that's kind of all that I'm looking for on ALGN. So if you couldn't already tell, Zeke, if you're watching this, I just want to say fuck you, and your head is fucking huge, buddy. So with that being said already, fuck you, dude. With that being said, this is SMH. Now we do have AMD earnings coming up this week. And SMH looks like it's in a head and shoulders. I mean, it does not really look like it's in a very good position, right? Not for a move to the upside, at least. So if we were to take off these, I mean, that's a pretty clear and concise head and shoulders, right? Like from here, we could see a very, very, very good move to the downside, or we could just see a retracement before we go higher, right? Anything can happen. But I definitely do think that with the way semis have been moving, especially recently, again, SMCI, you had calls that printed 600,000% overnight. So if, you know, with those big moves having happened, I definitely think that we may see some bigger downside move as like, I mean, the market can do whatever it wants. You know, I laugh at these things because you go to look at something like AMD, and AMD is just going. Like, there's no stop to it. It's just a freight train. Like, it just keeps on going. And anything can happen with their earnings. Their earnings can be completely garbage. And I really still don't think that this would end up dying too bad. You know what I mean? But it's been running insane. All, you know, semis have been running insane. So SMH, I do think that this has the potential to lead the chips to the downside if this area does not hold, genuinely. I think that under this 185, 186 area, we do end up seeing a very good move to the downside. And who knows, maybe that's actually where we end up getting bought up and we end up finding a lot of support, right? As you could see at this 183 area, we do have some. So there's a lot that can come from this move to the downside. But I mean, this is a pretty clear and concise picture for me when I'm looking at, you know, a head and shoulders pattern. Like, this just makes the utmost sense to me. I'm sorry. This makes the utmost sense to me is we end up seeing a bigger move to the downside. Again, with how much chips have ran, it does not seem very unlikely at this rate. However, again, the market can do whatever the fuck it wants. So take anything that I say with a grain of salt. But if we do end up holding this, where does this head and shoulders get invalidated? To me, this head and shoulders gets invalidated with a close over this 191 area, and a close over this area would also need to be retested. And with that, I would say that obviously we end up climbing higher, and we see the chip sector in and of itself lead the entire market, kind of like it has been. So that's kind of what I see for SMH. Just a break over this 190, 93 level, 191 level, retest of it. And then I would continue long. And again, under this 185, even this 186, I would definitely love to be short. I don't think that we wouldn't get a good move to the downside under one of these two levels. But one of these levels needs to be tested, retested, and then rejected in order for that to happen, right? So that's what I'm looking for on SMH. Cool. So the next one I want to be talking about is this Ulta, right? Is this Ulta? Is Ulta. The makeup company your mom wears and the makeup company your sister spends all her fucking money on. For I don't know what reason. I don't really care. So this is what the daily chart looks like. It looks like, let me switch these candles actually. The daily chart looks like it's looking to break out, right? And we're coming into a very important psych level for this breakout. So if this breakout were to happen, we would have a very fucking good move to the upside. And it would be honestly a banger trade to play. So as you can see here, we are breaking out of this downtrend that we had, and we broke out of it massively. Would I like a retest? Yes, I would. Do we always get a retest? Unfortunately, no, we don't. So this 482 level, though, I would love to either see retested or hold. And if it is, then I would definitely look to go long, just because this chart looks fucking great. As you can see, if we, just look a little bit to our left on the daily, what was the low of this day? Do 488.74, right? 488.74. So around this area right here is where we ended up bouncing. So, and also, as you could see, let's do this. Do here. No, it's not there. There it is. What level did I say? Cool. Okay. So here and here and obviously here, exactly where we bounced. You can see that there is a lot of consolidation within this area, right? Or rejection here. You get a pretty nice rejection here, but you see a big break here after the retest, right? So that's exactly what we did. So there's a massive possibility that Ulta does end up seeing this 516 level. I would like for it to see that 516 level over this 500. Obviously not right away, right? But over that 500 level, I would definitely like to see that level, as there's a big opportunity for the stock to go higher here. I mean, I don't see why not. You get a gap up off of earnings, then you get a technical breakout leading into earnings next month, or I'm sorry, in 2 months from now. So like, there's a massive, massive, massive chance that we end up seeing even all-time highs again. So this is definitely an A+ setup that I'm looking out for. I think that this setup is probably one of my favorite setups to play, as it's just a technical breakout with a retest of a very important level, and that retest of that very important level ended up holding. We ended up seeing buyers step in. So again, I would just like a break over that 500 level in order for us to have continued upside. If not, then I would love to play this to that 500 level. But on the downside, let's say none of anything that I just said worked and I'm an idiot and I lost money on it. Where would I be looking to go short? Personally, my trigger would be this 483 level. That's where I'd like to go short. As you could see, this is a level for us that we rejected and then we broke up from. We bounced from, and then on earnings, gapped straight down through, rejected, etc., etc. So that's all that I would really be looking for to go short, would be that 483 level to give us this. Honestly, I would say this around this 468. If not there, I would say 476. Regardless, any area from here, I do think we get like a 5, 6, 7 point move. That's just personally what I think, but that's all I'm really looking for on Ulta. Everybody's favorite fucking stock right now. This son of a bitch, this motherfucker just absolutely continues to keep being bought up. I mean, this break was fucking ridiculous. And for this type of candle to be printed on, the 1 hour chart is like, where does it even go from here type thing, right? But as you could see, we could not hold at this level that was once all-time highs. We could not hold there. We're approaching it yet again. It's getting real tight heading up into it, if you know what I'm saying. So this break of it could be huge. As I told my Discord, this 485 level, look for this to either reject or look for it to break. It will either send the chips higher or lower, or the entirety of the market higher or lower, just because people end up FOMOing, buying things that are, not of the same price, but trade of the same value type thing. So look for this 485, 486 level. Once that level breaks, once that level holds, I do end up thinking we actually see over 500. We may even see that 515. As you can see, when we broke through 400, I mean, the levels at that point didn't matter. People were buying at any dip that they could once they ended up seeing those earnings. But again, heading into these earnings, when you have a stock that already moved like this on, the earnings move, then there's a fat possibility that it ends up retracing and sees some lows. Not obviously any new lows, but something where you saw what day was this? The 24th, right? On the 24th, you saw this 410 retest, and we ended up pushing all the way to what? To this 496.81, 497 level on the same day. Like, we ended up moving this day. So yeah, I mean, anything can happen, and there is a massive possibility that this does continue higher. However, because of the earnings move that already did happen, I am implying that we may go lower. Now that could be absolutely incorrect, and I could get entirely fucked, and I'm okay with that. But I know that these types of moves don't continue to go up. There has to be a good retracement, and that retracement should come soon, especially with earnings dropping, with FOMC, with all of these different things. So under this what level is this? 467 level. I'm definitely short down to this 460 level. If this 460 level breaks, I would really love to see this 450.86 level. Personally, 450.86 breaks, 443.34. That breaks 428.63. That's kind of like everything that I'm looking for on SMCI heading into earnings. Cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed. It's been another episode of me being a fuckhead, looking for ways to make more money. If there is a way and I could get my grubby little hummus finger hands on it, I absolutely will, no problem. So everything that I'm looking for is in this video. If you have any questions, any comments, anything like that, never hesitate. I'll always do my best to answer. And yeah, it's been Micro. Tell your boss to go fuck himself.